Are you a pervert or something? Okay. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
Hold on a sec. I just
National
want
Pornographic says it.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
The whales have a 15-foot penis. I didn't cut out. You heard me. Google it yourself. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
Are you a pervert or something? Okay. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
Hold on a sec. I just
National Pornographic says it.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
The whales have a 15-foot penis. I didn't cut out. You heard me. Google it yourself. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
Are you a pervert or something? Okay. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
Hold on a sec. I just
National Pornographic says it.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
The whales have a 15-foot penis. I didn't cut out. You heard me. Google it yourself. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15
Are
what?
you a pervert or something? Okay. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
Here are two atheists, Justin and John. Justin was amazing. He was the most polite and likable atheist I've ever met. And John, how can I put it? He produced the most morally depraved YouTube video I've ever seen. I couldn't describe how sickening and horribly blasphemous it was.
What is up, heathens? How y'all doing? I don't have my mic like right here. Sorry, so unprofessional of me, I know. My bad. Hold on. Here we go. All right. What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? The most morally depraved YouTuber here. And honestly, I think that any atheist should definitely make Ray Comfort sick to his stomach when he watches their videos. So yeah, I take that with a badge of honor. That I was able to sicken Ray Comfort, and I'm still I've had an idea for a badge that I want to put on all of my branding and stuff, and so yeah, and we've got Dave Lee, who noticed the nice backdrop. You'll notice the change of scenery here. This is Pride Month. So I had Uhan, he did up a little Pride background for me, so we're doing that. And tonight, though, we're going to be talking about a pastor named Pete who thinks that he's got atheism pretty well pegged, right? And I definitely mean that in the sexual sense. So the Pastor Pete thinks that these three types of atheism are actually atheism, and he argues against these straw man definitions of atheism. And so we're going to be taking a look at these types that he thinks are atheism tonight. We're going to be setting them straight, going to be slightly respectful about it, except for that pegging sexual comment. And yeah, so if you guys are interested in three types of atheism that are not actually atheism, then please stay tuned. But first we have... Oh, shit, gotta get my scene. Oh, fuck. Today I learned... Alright, so... First up on Today I Learned that taking up a hobby may help stave off depression. For those who had depression and no hobby, taking one up was linked with an improvement in depressive symptoms and 272% higher chance of recovering from that depression. So, me personally, I think that maybe that's why I, dove so hard into my channel and GE in general, because at the time I had just gotten out of being in college, and then I didn't have anything to do with my time, and I tried doing some freelance programming, but that didn't really work out. That was really stressful, so I dove into, doing my GE content, and that really, I think that really helped a lot of times. Sometimes it was toxic, but I have to say, from experience, taking up a hobby can really help deal with depression at times. I mean, it wasn't perfect. I think you still need to get like therapy and counseling and all that, because that is what really helped me get out of it. But the taking up a hobby and focusing on that helped me, I guess deal with the depression that I was going through. Helped me escape it for a little bit. So I highly suggest hobbies, especially after you get out of school or anything like that, to take up your time, whether that be video games or YouTube, focusing on YouTube and stuff like that. I think those could be very good for people. So I just wanted to highlight that today, because I know I guess I'll always, possibly have depression, but I've really recovered from it pretty well. And I feel like I've gotten past some of the darkest portions of that. And I hope that other people can do that too. Next up, today I learned that the first pedestrian killed by a car happened on August 17th of 1896. Mrs. Bridget Driscoll was frozen in place by panic as Arthur Edsdale ran her over at a blistering speed of 4 miles an hour. That doesn't sound fast, but it could kill you if you just stayed still like she did. I don't know. Maybe she was just so scared of a moving vehicle in general, like that she just didn't think to move. And then I don't know if he just didn't have brakes, but it seems like at 4 miles an hour you would have had enough reaction time. Maybe he wasn't paying attention too. I don't know. But anyways, I hate that.
He was on his cell phone.
He was on his cell phone. Yeah, and say hello to KC, everybody.
Hi, y'all.
I brought the mic a little bit closer to her, so I'm just working with one of our very expensive mics tonight, and she's got the other one, so you guys should be able to hear her pretty well. We did have a super chat from Daniel M, and he said, David says hi. What's up, David? How are you doing tonight? That actually sounded like it had a little bit of rhythm, didn't it?
I know, honey. You're impressive.
I know. I can be impressive when I want to be. All right. Next up, we got... And so today, just for anybody that wants to know, just general knowledge, if you are being questioned by the authorities in the United States and you choose to remain silent in response to a specific question, that silence may itself be construed as evidence of guilt, unless you specifically state that you're invoking your right to remain silent under the Fifth Amendment. Just in case, because of how shit's going right now, you may need to know this. So just be aware. Just, if you're not going to say anything, just say, I plead the Fifth. Because that can, I believe it was a court that showed that inherently the pleading the Fifth Amendment does not suggest that you are guilty. But apparently silence, like just not answering the question, it implies guilt. Like, I have no idea how that fucking works, but apparently that's how our fucked up justice system works. Anyways. Well, that's it for the Today I Learns, but as you all know, last week we started doing some comment stuff, and I kind of really enjoyed that, so I wanted to do a few more comments tonight before we get into the other portions of the show tonight. So, first up is God's judgment is inevitable. He says that macroevolution is not even science by definition, lies and deception by the Freemasons, Illuminati, devil worshippers.
What is wrong with people?
You know, I really don't know. And
I don't even have any good response to this.
I mean, I don't know how you like prepare a good response for this. Because I mean, obviously, like macroevolution is science, even by definition. Evolution is a scientific theory, and that would include the smaller microevolution that they love to tout out, and then there's macroevolution, which is speciation. That's definitely based on science. We've been able to observe speciation, so I don't understand why this person considers science not to be science, or consider evolution to be not even be science by definition. I would really love it if he would expand on that, other than just saying that it's lies and deception by the Illuminati. All right. Next comment. This is just a general thing I found on Twitter, where this guy says, atheism is a self-soothing fairy tale which exists to inhibit and redirect personal psychological distress and physical misfortunes. And I don't exactly know, I don't understand why he thinks that atheism does this. Like, not believing in a God doesn't do anything of any of that sort. Like, it doesn't inhibit or redirect personal psychological distress and physical misfortunes. I mean, just not being convinced that a God exists is just not being convinced. Like, it doesn't do anything else. I mean, I feel like this kind of borders on the whole, well, atheists just want to sin, so they pretend to not believe in God. And I feel like that's very disingenuous, because we don't want to sin. We don't believe that sin is a real thing, so there's no way that we can want to sin. Plus, I wager that Christianity, especially fucking Catholicism, because if you'll notice the little hashtag right here, Catholic Twitter, I really don't think that religion or God prevents people from sinning, or even feeling justified by their sin. You could definitely do that as a Catholic. As a Christian in general, you can do that. So why on earth what is the draw? I wonder what he thinks the draw is for us not to believe in God, when there's literally there's no carrot on the end of that stick. Like, there's no motivation to not believe in God just so that we can sin.
Well, I don't know. What the part that I think is super weird is how he says it's a self-soothing fairy tale. Number one, I don't really understand what's fairy tale about not believing in the supernatural. Also, self-soothing, that's what religion does. Religion is what gives you the ability to have self-soothing. You know what I mean? Like, having your deity that is always there taking care of you and is there to give you strength and whatever else you pray for. Like, that's a self-soothing thing. So, like, atheism, not having that basically forces you, I mean, unless you utilize some other thing to replace it, but it basically forces you to deal with the reality and handle it yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Drew's Book Review says LDS are good at preaching atheists want to sin idea. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of apologists out there throughout all of the denominations that do it. So, and I agree with you, Casey, that religion does seem to be a self-soothing fairy tale, at least for a lot of people. Cadence asks, what's in the cup? And this is crack and cream soda tonight. I mean, that's not an official drink mix. I don't know what in the fuck you'd call this, but it's Sprite and Kraken.
Can you see your cup on the stream?
I can. It's a ghost cup. That's what this is. It's a ghost cup.
Oh, okay. There we go. Supernatural on camera.
Ooh.
No, just really the cup is teal.
Yeah. And that's pretty close to green. So that's probably why it's only semi-translucent. All right, we got one more comment to go through before we get into shitty ass science. And then this person just responds to me with, evolution is not a fact. Are you really an engineer? I wonder. So this comes from the idea that if like all engineers have to recognize that the world is designed, and that's proof of God. And so if apparently you're not a real engineer if you don't recognize God's design in nature. But in reality, we have natural explanations for these things. So we don't exactly, we don't need a supernatural like function behind it. Like we don't need a supernatural intervention behind it in order to explain like why things work the way they work. So yes, I really am an engineer. You're just a dipshit on Twitter. Anyways. Oh, yeah, I said the S word, so y'all ready for it?
I'm ready.
Shitty ass science. We're gonna answer some science shit really wrong.
What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? It's been a while since I've been around. GE's been keeping me in the fucking closet. He told me to pray or some shit because that's what the Bible says to do. I couldn't find that particular Bible verse, but I did read that motherfucker from cover to cover while I was in there. All right, so what do we got tonight? How does the watermelon pull the croc through the water? Oh, shit. All right. Now, I know a lot of you guys think that the Pokemons is not a real thing, that it's some game made up by the Japanese and Chinese people. But that's not true. Pokemons are real, okay? So now this is a second stage of the crocodile or alligator, whichever the fuck one it is. Basically what happens is when they evolve instantaneously, which is magical as fuck, by the way, and proof of God, when they magically evolve, he grows a watermelon out of his mouth, okay? And that acts as a propeller because when the watermelon is submerged into the water, it displaces the water and pushes it back and away. The alligator or crocodile, whatever the fuck, still has its tail so it can like help move it, but the real propeller here is the watermelon. It makes all the water molecules want to get the fuck out of there because you got a magical fucking creature in the water and nobody wants to be around that shit. We haven't developed Pokeballs like the Pokemons want you to think, but we're getting close. I hear the scientists are out there right now trying to figure it the fuck out. Somebody's trying to capture Donald Trump, I can just tell you right now. But anyways, so, yeah, that's what this is. Magical second stage Pokemon, the water gator, melon gator. It's the melon, that's what it's called. Sorry, I don't have my Pokedex with me. It's the melon gator, and he's got some special attacks. One is kind of a seed attack, where he takes that watermelon right the fuck out of his mouth, and he just spits a whole bunch of seeds at you. And then he's got one where he whips his tail around and smacks you in the face a little bit. Don't get near these motherfuckers. They're very touchy about their watermelons. I mean, definitely don't put your hands near them. They got a bite attack, which that's one thing in the Pokemons I know, and that motherfucker just will not let go, okay? He will roll his ass into the water carrying his watermelon and your arm in the same mouth, okay? So don't fuck with him. Just leave him be with his watermelon. Don't try to capture him or nothing. All right. That's your shitty ass science for today. Magical evolution. There you go. Alright, heathens. Well, I'm going to see y'all later. Don't forget to do all the motherfucking shit. Stand up, do some more shit, and I will see you guys later. Bye, heathens. I know the differences between me and him are just uncanny, right? I mean, well, there's vast differences. Anyways. So apparently, crocodile, alligator, it says crocodile, swimming through the water with a watermelon in its mouth. I don't know what the fuck it's hoping to do with that goddamn watermelon.
Probably eat it.
Do crocodiles eat watermelons? Like, I thought that they, like, ate...
Watermelon is fucking delicious.
They're delicious to us, but it's not like every single animal out there just goes hunting for watermelons.
Well, I'm not saying he's hunting for watermelons, but I mean, if he came across a watermelon.
We got Michelle in the chat. I just got to do this real quick. Stand up and do more shit. Oh, that's Michelle Foster. Sorry, I thought that was the other Michelle. Oh well. Y'all got a song. I just saw, hey Michelle, and I was like, oh shit, I got to play a song to make her ears bleed. Anyways, all right, so that's it for shitty.
Feelings.
Huh?
You hurt her feelings.
Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle.
I knew who you were.
Anyways, so tonight is this guy right here. He's a pastor. I'm not exactly sure where. I do have the link to the original that I'm going to be putting here in a little bit. I'm going to be putting it up. Cadence says you should sing to make her feel better. Okay. My bad, Michelle. You're the wrong, or the other Michelle, the main Michelle. Sorry, I'm fucking up some more.
Also, that Michelle isn't Michelle on here. It's just Peachy Key.
Oh yeah, she's Peachy. Fuck.
You're all messed up. Is that Kraken hitting your heart or something?
Maybe. Thank you, Michelle, for being here and being a Skeptic Mafia member.
I'm not sure if that made it better or worse.
I'm so shit. She's like, oh, well, fuck this shit. I am not a Skeptic Mafia member now. Fuck it. The wrong Michelle. Motherfucker. All right. So, anyways, to take the foot out of my mouth, we have this pastor here who wanted to talk about atheism with his congregation. So he put together this little video, completely vertical, and he's going to go through these 3 different types of atheism, and he's going to explain why they're shit.
Who picks out his geranimals?
His what?
Geranimal. Who matches his clothes for him? Because they don't do a very good job.
I don't know. Is that bad? I mean, what would you match with a purple, like a slightly light purple shirt?
I don't know. Maybe khaki, not navy pants.
Jeans? Black jeans?
Did you just say black jeans? Stop.
Anyways. All right. So we're going to get into this. Let's see what he's got. And before we begin, though, I need to get my earbuds set up so that there's not like a reverb.
And do you want to take my mic away?
No.
Okay.
Oh, do you want me to?
Well, I'm not going to be able to hear unless I turn it up, and then if I turn it up here, they're going to hear it on there. So, yeah, I mean, if you're not going to have it up there, then you can't.
Well, I mean, I don't want to juggle muting shit.
That's fine. I was just saying I would take it away from here because I'm going to have to turn it up a little so I can hear.
Right. If you got something to say, just scream then.
Okay, well, you don't have to leave it over here for me. It's fine.
All right, sorry, had to get that resolved. Let me make sure all of my inputs are correct. Okay, here we go. All right. All right, Pastor Pete, why don't you tell us what these 3 types of atheism are?
Today's psalm is Psalm 53. I will read all of it for us.
Oh, shit.
The fool says in his or her heart, "There is no God. They are corrupt, doing abominable iniquity. There is none that does good. God looks down from heaven on the children of humanity to see if there are any who understand, who seek after God. They have all fallen away. Together they have become corrupt. There is none who does good, not even one."
So, I find the irony of him saying this to be very palpable, because he's saying that no atheist out there, nobody that disbelieves in God, can do anything good. But he's saying it using an electronic device to record himself and then post it on YouTube through the internet. Now, this that's the ironical part, because Alan Turing, who was a gay atheist during the World War II era, who developed the first computer. And without Alan Turing and his Turing machine, we, wouldn't have done as well as we did in the war as far as fighting the Nazis, meaning that we defeated them. And two, we wouldn't have modern technology. Like, sure, it could have come out of some other way, but to say that atheists just don't do anything good is just ridiculous.
Well, I mean, that's aside. I mean, set all of that shit aside, because that's an if thing here or there. But, like, atheists do charity work all the time. Like,
yeah.
Atheists do good. There's, I mean, you can see proof of it all over the internet. It's really not that hard to figure out. You don't even have to go to a if this then that scenario at all, just to see atheists doing good things.
Right. No, very good point there, Casey. That I don't understand why they repeat this particular psalm or these particular ideas when it's so verifiably wrong. So,
have those who work evil no knowledge, who eat up my people as they eat bread, who do not call upon God? There they are in great terror, where there is no terror. For God scatters the bones of him or her who encamps against him. You put them to shame, for God has rejected them. Oh, that salvation for Israel would come out of Zion. When God restores the fortunes of his people, let Israel rejoice, let Jacob be glad. The word of the Lord.
The word of the Lord is fucking bullshit and is verifiably false, so maybe we should find something else. I don't know. Fuck.
As we read this, you may have been thinking, I've heard this before. Or, if your memory is good, you might remember that this was Psalm 14, and it almost exactly parallels Psalm 14. But what is most valuable bears repeating. So let's take a look at the psalm here. First line, the fool says in his or her heart, there is no God. And we, most of us anyway, tend to jump immediately to concepts of modern atheism, or the current atheism in style, which takes for us multiple forms. At risk of oversimplification, I will break this down into three primary types of atheism alive and well in our culture today.
All right, before you get to the three types of atheism, for one thing, I really hate that you can't speak more than 4 miles an hour. I mean, I feel like you could still possibly run over a person in the middle of the street with that, but I wish that you could speak a little faster. That's just me.
If he speaks more than 4 miles an hour, he might kill somebody.
Yeah, I think so. But I also hate Psalm 14:1, where it says that the fools say in their heart that there is no God. For one thing, I don't really give a fuck what your particular holy book says. Your holy book is designed to tell people that the only way that's the correct and right way is our way. And anybody that thinks differently than us is bad, they don't do any good, they're horrible things, and you don't need to be that way or else we're going to fucking kill you. And so the fact that you have a holy book that you're following that tells you that has these mind-stopping techniques in it, or these thought-stopping techniques in it that prevent you from thinking for yourself and then allowing other people to tell you what to think, I would hope that you would want to just throw that away and find something else. don't ever adhere to something that forces you not to think about the positions that it's purporting or pushing. We got a couple of super chats here. Daniel M says, you should make Pastor Pete drink, lol. He does not look like he drinks at all. Maybe the communion wine a little too much. Quentin Van Booven says, put this in the whiskey fund. Oh, thank you. It's cracking tonight, but I do have some Jack Daniel's apple that is ready in the queue for me to do some, what is that? The spritzy apple, sparkling apple? Fizzy apple?
Jack apple.
Fizzy Jack apple? I don't know. Whatever the fuck it's called.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either. It doesn't matter. We're going to call it Fizzy Apple.
Applejack. No? Is that what we call it? Apple Jacks?
That's a cereal.
So, it's also a beverage.
But yeah, okay. So let's continue this. And somebody suggested I think it was maybe Quentin or somebody. They said just speed it up then. I don't want to do that because that always makes their voice sound really weird. And I would just rather hear it played at regular speed. I've tried that before with another guy, but it just didn't turn out well.
The first, and this stems from the time of the writers of the Constitution on, is that there is a God, but this God does not act in history. This is called deism, or deism. It's as if the universe is a great big clock which God wound up and tossed out into emptiness, and now it runs along perfectly well on its own, and we can form and instruct within it with our laws and constitutions and so on.
I don't think deism has anything to do with the American Constitution, but also deism is not atheism. Like you're literally defining atheism as just another form of theism, because that's what deism is, and that's not atheism. That's still believing in a higher power. So I mean, that's literally not atheism. And I was really surprised when I heard him describe these three types of atheists, and this was his first one. If you guys don't know, on the front of the thumbnail of this video tonight, I put the symbol for deism, which is it's what came up as the symbol of deism. You know, I considered for a second the symbol for realism, but I was like, no, I don't need that kind of controversy here on the channel. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up the symbol for realism. It's a hot take, I would think. I believe it existed, but prior to World War II. But still, it's really weird. Anyways, so let's see what else he's got to say about atheism.
But God does not act in my individual life. The second, and this is in a way my favorite.
Wait, I forgot to add, before we get to his second one, which is apparently his favorite one, if there is a God that does exist, I think the most likely version of God that exists is the deistic God. It's the simplest version of God out there. Some supernatural being that just started the universe and then left it be, and he doesn't have any kind of interference in this world, doesn't do any miracles in this world or anything like that. He just sort of started it and let it go. And I think that is the simplest version of God that you could really describe. But I also think that it's probably the most likely version of God if one were to exist. So I really don't have problems with any deists that might be out there. I feel like at that point it's just a difference of opinion. They believe in a supernatural being that started everything, and I just simply don't. I don't see that evidence. So, and I have that particular position with plenty of Christians and people of other faiths too, where it just boils down to, well, this is my opinion, that's your opinion. Hey, we all got opinions. It's just like our assholes. Let's try not to fuck them. Well, I don't know. Some people like fucking assholes. Anyways, let's go. That works on multiple levels too, by the way.
People make up a God they don't like and then tend to not believe in this God. I don't believe in God because, and they'll list the reasons, which are their reasons. A subset of this is people who are disappointed in God. Well, I prayed to God and God didn't do what I wanted. This is a rather immature way of looking at things. But because I am disappointed in God, there is no God. God didn't do what I want. But this makes of God a puppet. Who wants a God like that?
Well, I mean, to be fair, it's taught in churches that you pray to God and He will work in your life. Even in Scripture, you have Bible verses like I think it was one of the feeding of the 5,000 where Jesus talks about how knock and the door shall be opened, and all of that is the imagery given is basically you ask God for something and He will give you something. And then of course at the feeding of the 5,000, Jesus just says, hey, put your baskets in the air like you just don't care, and then bring them down and you got a whole bunch of fucking fish and bread. It didn't rhyme, but it was the first century and he was, I don't know, Jewish. Not that means that Jewish people can't have. I'm saying a lot of things tonight. So, but in any case, in the religion, it's taught that you can ask God for things, and even in the Old Testament, like God firmly states that if you adhere to Him and do what He says, then He will work. He will do good things in your life. He will provide you with good things in your life. So to act like, oh, well, these things that happen, like I followed God and I did everything that was part of my denomination and God still fucked me over and I'm not happy with that. I think that is a valid reason to investigate why you believe in something and if you truly believe in it. I don't know of anybody out there that has something bad happen to them and then immediately just doesn't believe in God. Normally there's a sort of journey along what they believe in, and that's usually how it happens, but I'm not going to say that nobody out there has had some kind of traumatic event and then they automatically just are like, fuck God, I don't believe in God kind of thing. I do, but I mean, it's the way that the Bible is set up. It's a perfectly reasonable reaction for something bad to happen in your life and you're not satisfied with the explanations that a religion gives you or that your denomination gives you. Now, I don't think that that's making up a God or making up a puppet God and then saying, well, I don't believe in that God. And but I mean, still, just because like if somebody does that, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are an atheist. That doesn't automatically make them an atheist. Like, I don't believe in that God. He would have the exact same reaction to plenty of other gods. Like, I don't believe in Zeus. It's like, well, you're just making up your own God now and believing in that God. And so I don't know. It seems like a little bit of a slippery slope here to just characterize atheists as having a traumatic experience and immediately losing their faith. And that means that they become an atheist. There are plenty of people that have a traumatic experience and find Christianity's explanations for why things have happened in their life, and they become Buddhist, they become Islamic, they become plenty of other different religions. They don't necessarily become atheist. But see, this is one aspect of Christianity that Christians don't normally like to talk about, and that's that, in Christianity, you have these, you have everybody else as an outgroup, right? Just like with Islam, everybody's an infidel that's not a Muslim, right? It's the same thing with Christianity. Everybody that's not part of their faith is bad, horrible, and they're heathens and everything. That's why I call you guys heathens here. And so they don't normally like to talk about how in-groupy, out-groupy the Bible actually is. But you can tell right here as he's going through it, he's saying that, if you're going to make up your own definition of what this particular God is, and then you're going to say, I don't believe in that one. and that automatically makes you part of this outgroup, which he's labeling as atheists.
This is something that must be outgrown, and often is, as people mature. A subset of this is, and this is subtle and this is dangerous, I will do whatever if you, God, will do what, of course, I want you to do. This is just another form of creating a puppet God who bends and turns and twists to our wishes. And this is not God, which is why I include it under forms of atheism.
Well, yeah. So I get that that's not your particular definition of God, but it's very painfully obvious that there are Christians out there that are like, you pray to God and he will answer your prayer. And so if somebody that's part of Christianity has a misunderstanding about, you know, how to be a good Christian or what the theology says, isn't that kind of a deficiency on like a pastor's part? I can't remember right off the top of my head what church you're with, but my guess is that you labeling this quote unquote puppet God as not being really God, and that's why you're filing these people under atheism. I mean, I would hazard to bet that you would call all other different denominations of Christianity not the real God. That's a puppet God. Therefore, you're atheist. Do you feel that way about like Catholics? Because a lot of people out there love to say that Catholics aren't Christian and they worship some other kind of different fucking God when they really don't. Catholics are the OG Christians, okay? So you can't just shove them out of the club just because, you know, they have a different version of your Yahweh God than you want to have. So I don't find this a very compelling argument for why people are become an atheist or become some other religion because of some traumatic event or because God didn't answer their prayers or something like that. I don't know why you got to label just all of those people as atheists.
The one most current in its vogue, coming from Richard Dawkins, Daniel Dennett, and others, Sam Harris, deceased, is that the universe is just here. How it got here is a separate argument to be pursued on other days. The universe is just here, and everything happens by blind, random chance. We just happen to be sitting here or listening to this or whatever we're doing. It's all blind, random chance.
So this third one here is basically he's resolving atheism down to what he interprets to be the result of thinking that God didn't start the universe and that everything just came about by chance. And this is not anywhere near close to atheism. Everything being like chance or happenstance or whatever, that's not what atheism is. Atheism is just simply a lack of belief in a God. Or for those that are harder atheists, they would suggest that God 100% doesn't exist. But most atheists out there are probably going to land in the more agnostic atheist sort of realm. I feel like the harder atheists, the Gnostic atheists, are in just as an untenable position as any Christian is when they assert 100% that God does exist, right? But what he's doing here is he's forming his own straw man version of what he thinks the Big Bang means for reality, for science, and he's resolving that to be an atheist position. Reducing it. Sorry. He's reducing it to be an atheist position. And it just simply isn't. Like, that's something that like either creationists or I guess it could be theistic evolutionists too, but just people that think that God started this universe and have a problem with happenstance or chance, as far as how the universe came together. They've made up this particular thing and they're painting it as being bad. Well, it's not really bad. It's just sort of a statement of fact. But you also don't have to necessarily adhere to that being an atheist. So, which I would hazard to bet, or I would say that I don't necessarily think it was like all up to chance or whatever. I think that there's a bit of nuance surrounding that. But you could essentially say that it was, by chance that all of this arose. Like I said, I feel like there's a little bit of nuance to it because there's like non-random selection and non-happenstance things that are just a result of cause and effect. Those are the nuances that I'm talking about here. So he's completely confusing his own idea of what the Big Bang Theory is with atheism at this point.
They call this science, better scientism. It's not true science. They have no facts on which to base this theory.
Well, actually, there's a lot of facts to base it on, most notably a fucking picture of the microwave background radiation, which is the result of the Big Bang that happened. We know that it did happen, and we don't have any solid evidence that says that the Big Bang, in order for it to happen, the inflation of the universe, in order for that to happen, God needed to be there to do it. So we don't have any evidence for God having supernatural interventions into reality to cause things to happen. We don't have any evidence that a God is needed for the universe to inflate. It could have self-inflated, and we've gone pretty far to show how that's reasonably possible and plausible. So yeah. Oh no, Jucan, you just put an X. I'm wondering what that's about.
What's hidden in this argument against God is that if everything is by blind, random chance, then the statement they are making is also by blind, random chance. And if there is no meaning in the universe, then what they are saying is meaningless. So why pay attention to them at all? They defeat their argument in their argument. Hope that's not too philosophical for you.
No, that's not too philosophical for me because what you're saying here is just wrong. I don't know. I don't understand why you think that me saying like what I believe about the beginning of the universe is just random chance that I would say it. This is that nuance that I was talking about because it's a cause and effect thing. You say something dumb as fuck. I respond by enlightening you on some things. That's not by chance. That me being here isn't necessarily by chance. Like ultimately life and altogether, like life existing, yeah, that's by chance, but it's by chance like by cause and effect, and you have all of these things that go into it that lead up to life being here. And then just like with our interaction here, there's a cause and effect, like I just pointed out to before. So
This seems to be the most absurd position of all.
It's only absurd because you just made it up. So, I would say that it's absurd because you made up a straw man version of everything and then you're knocking it down by claiming like you created a circular argument and then you're complaining about the circular argument that you just created. So it just seems like you're shooting yourself in the foot at this point.
None of these directly is what our psalmist is talking about, although all of them in a sense are trying to do the same thing. For the psalmist, the fool who does not believe in God is the one who does not believe that God holds us accountable for our actions. This is very popular these days. In fact, it might be the most popular of all. Much of modern America and Europe and now Asia falls under this rubric that my life is my own to live, and God is not going to have any impact on that at all, or at best it is a secondary change that God might make.
Well, this is a very confusing set of statements here because, like, I don't believe in your God or any other God. So I don't feel like it's necessary for me to adhere to his particular rules. And if that makes me a fool, that I don't adhere to your murderous blood god rules, then I'm fine being a fool. I would probably bet that you would peg other Christians as being fools as well in the way that you're defining what a fool is, or what these people that don't believe in God, because unless they believe in your specific version of God, even if that version extends to other denominations, my guess is that you would label some of these other denominations that do exist out there that don't strictly follow to your idea of what God is, you would label them as these people that don't believe in God. The people that don't believe in God are the people that don't believe in your God. So that means everybody else, including theists, that don't believe in your particular version of God, you are calling atheists right now.
We hang on tightly to there's only one life to live, and so we might as well live it with, as the old Slits ad said, with gusto. And that's it.
No, that's not what atheism is about. We're still held accountable to ourselves, to our community, to whatever society that we live in. So, I mean, to break atheism down into hedonism is just not founded. Like, the two are completely different ideas. You can be, atheist and hedonistic at the same time, but just because you're hedonistic doesn't mean that you're an atheist. I also wonder, like, how do you characterize these people that are in your own faith that sin just without regard to God, that just ask for forgiveness because that's what their religion teaches them. That's what their denomination teaches them, is that you ask God for forgiveness and you are forgiven. And so any of the bad shit that you did is washed away. So I don't understand the benefit of religion in this aspect, other than you have a very easy way of overcoming this sense of accountability. Whereas atheists, or people that don't adhere to that particular version of God, most likely do have some kind of accountability because they don't have a way to just wash away the bad shit that they've done. They if I go outside and just randomly punch somebody in the face and do other bad shit towards them, I cannot then just get on my knees, pray to God, and everything's fine. Like, as an atheist, I can't do that. I am still accountable for those actions. But the way that Christians portray their faith, the way that Christians portray salvation and redemption and forgiveness, is that you do bad shit and then you pray to God and he forgives you as long as you feel sincere in your heart. And then it doesn't matter if you do it again, because you can just repeat the process. It's rinse and repeat. We see this all the time in Christian communities.
When we say to ourselves, God doesn't care if I do whatever, then we are already on the slope to putting our own personal desires ahead of God's will and wish and command. And we do it all the time. We're all guilty of this. I am, you are, all of us are. It's part of our makeup. It's our desire to assert ourselves. It begins at birth, and we carry it through our lives.
So I guess that would mean that God designed us to do this, right? Because if God says, That if God creates all of us, then he created us to be that way, right? Or would you go with the whole original sin route? We did this to ourselves, so as soon as we're birthed from our mother's womb, that means that we're already just wanting to, live this hedonistic lifestyle. I can guarantee you that when my son was born, he didn't know what the fuck was going on. He couldn't see more than maybe a foot past his face, and I think that's probably pushing it. Like, I don't think that baby's eyesight can really resolve things that far, but the point is that I really don't see the evidence to support your idea that straight out of the womb we are automatically wanting to just do bad shit all the time. What you would classify as bad shit.
If you doubt me, there's an easy way to check this. Go to Exodus 20, read the 10 Commandments, pick one, and see how you measure up against it.
Thou shalt not murder. Well, I've managed not to do that unless you count all the bodies I've dropped on Call of Duty, or the Division, or the Division 2, or all the multiple killing games out there. If you count them motherfuckers, then I guess I don't wager up to that particular commandment all that well. Let's see, what's another one? Honor thy mother and father. Well, fuck, I haven't done that all my life. I mean, I honor them now, I guess. Like, I'm not shitty towards them. Would that be honoring them? Thou shalt not steal. I don't steal. So I guess I measure up fine against that. The adultery bit, I don't go around fucking other people. I don't, honey, I love you.
I love you.
See? So, I mean, if you're talking about the double-handed stroking of God's dick that is the first 4 fucking commandments, yeah, I don't measure up to those too well. But I don't feel like those are really moral things that you have to, measure up to. So I don't understand why you would, like, that. I feel like that's the one that he's going to go to right here is like, it's like, oh, do you double fist hand stroke God every day? You're going to hell, motherfucker.
We could pick Sabbath keeping.
Sabbath keeping. See? A double fist stroking of God's 15-foot cock. That's what he goes to. Like, do you keep the Sabbath? If you don't keep the Sabbath, then you're going to hell. Because that's the 10 Commandments. Well, how about this? I measure up pretty well to the second set of commandments. Well, the whole not boiling a goat in its mother's milk, I don't do that. The other ones are pretty much just a double-fisted stroking of God's cock. By the way, that particular phrase is monetizable on YouTube. That's why I'm saying it so much.
Not as I want Sabbath to be, but as God intended Sabbath to be. Not just a day of rest, but a holy day, a day set aside for God alone. See how we measure up to that on any given Sunday. Pick.
Well, I gotta tell you, normally I start out my Sundays by doing some fucking, and then I commit some blasphemy. And then we build ourselves a pentagram and we sacrifice a small kitten. We do that in our non-existent basement, of course. And then we praise the devil. That's what atheists do, huh?
Any of them, and particularly measure yourself against them as Jesus would, whom you might remember said that you have heard, thou shalt not murder or kill. But I say to you, if you're even angry with your brother or sister, you've committed murder.
You see, that's just fucking shitty right there. Like, no. If you're angry at somebody, you have not murdered them. Okay? Likening being angry with a motherfucker to murdering them is just an abusive, like, toxic thing to do. And you doing this right here, for me at least, makes you a fucking shitty person. Okay? Just because I'm angry with somebody does not mean that I have murdered them, motherfucker.
Wow.
The Sabbath is actually Saturday, not Sunday. It's
Well,
Sunday for Christians, but it's in the Bible, the Sabbath, when they're talking about it, it's Saturday.
right. So in case you guys couldn't hear Casey, she clarified the Sabbath is technically Saturday, which by the way that the Jewish people count days, it starts Friday at sundown and goes Saturday at sundown. And so that is the Sabbath day, right? And so that's technically the Sabbath, not the Sunday, which was later instilled by Christians, that they would take Sundays for their Sabbath. So in the Old Testament, it would definitely be Saturday. And even the early Jewish Christians, before Christianity became mainstream, they would have celebrated Sabbath on the way that the Jews did. So technically, if you want to be historical, the Sabbath is Friday at sundown to Saturday at sundown. Right now, we're on the Sabbath. God damn it, honey. I'm fucking committing blasphemy on the fucking Sabbath. Because fuck God.
That's why I love you.
I know, honey. I know that's what. Thank you for loving me, even though I'm a morally depraved, fucking sick, blasphemous person.
Those are some of your best characteristics.
Sunian says, we are fucked. Yeah, we are.
Measure yourself
You're fine.
against that. And see if you don't immediately begin to start justifying. If you don't immediately start self-rationalization. Well,
Well, so, I mean, the actual portions of the Ten Commandments, so the version 1.0 of the Ten Commandments, not the version 2.0 of the Ten Commandments. Version 1.0 of the Ten Commandments, the first 4 I don't give a fuck about. There's no self-rationalization about it, right? I don't have to rationalize my way around it because I don't consider those things to be immoral if I don't do them, right? So those first 4 I don't give a fuck about. The honoring thy mother and father, I don't think that you have to honor your father or your mother. I think that that's pretty fucking stupid to suggest that you have to do that. It perpetuates this idea that you have to hold them at this higher level and that you can't criticize them or you can't separate yourself from them. Or, if you have an abusive father, you just have to take the abuse, or an abusive mother, you just have to take the abuse. That perpetuates abuse. And then, of course, the ones that are actually bad or wrong, I'm fine with. Those are things that were decided upon way before Christianity was a thing, way before Judaism was a thing. And also, the whole don't covet your neighbor's wife is more about coveting property than it is about committing adultery or anything, I believe adultery is its own commandment. I think. Yeah, it is. So, but in any case, then you delve into how do you define adultery in the Bible? Because it's definitely not just fucking another woman, because you can have concubines, right? I would think that they would probably relegate it to just fucking another man's wife, right? Because then she's his property. That would be adultery. But it's only if the woman does it. The man does it. If a married man fucks a married man's wife, then yeah, that's kind of bad in the Bible. But I mean, if a guy just fucks another girl, then it's not adultery. It's not bad.
You see, the Reformers saw this and used a very unfortunate term, I think, but they saw this as total depravity, that we will always turn inward to our own selfish desires ahead of God. It's in all of us. At risk of making it sound too easy, I'm going to say that the remedy for this is at the cross. And the remedy is that God, being God, completely gave up everything that God was. A total, unselfish act.
I really don't consider the crucifixion to be an unselfish act. I mean, it was literally a BDSM weekend for fucking God. I mean, he could have just blinked the shit out of existence. He could have done any number of things that could have, erased the original sin or given people salvation. But what did he choose to do? He chose to, I guess, create a Horcrux, to use Harry Potter language, because it's just as ridiculous as Harry Potter, as far as like thinking that it's reality. He created a Horcrux and called it Jesus. And then he forced his Horcrux copy of himself, or portion of himself, to get whipped and put up on a cross for shits and giggles. I mean, he could have done anything in order to absolve this shit, but what did he choose to do? Get fucking beat with whips. That kind of sounds like BDSM to me. We got Grrmania, who did a super chat saying, "I'd like to sponsor one of your videos, GE. Love your stuff." Oh, well, fuck yeah. John at godlessengineering.com, and we can work some shit out. Anyways, let's get back to his video. The Kraken is starting to take effect. I need to hurry this shit up.
In place of all our selfishness. A total self-giving, a total self-emptying on behalf of those of us who always choose self first. And by giving grace to us, we begin to turn to this God in love. When we see, and I don't know that I have words for it, or that any of us have words for it, or that there are words for it, but when we see the depths of this love, the only possible response is love.
If you guys don't know, we have a daily Bible podcast here where we're going through the Bible cover to cover. And I do not see God's love at all. We're in Isaiah right now. There is no love from God in Isaiah. Let me just give you a little bit of a taste. This past week, you know what God did? He firebombed all of these Israelites' houses. And then he comes back to them and is like, "Hey, I see I firebombed your house there. It's all burnt to shit. I stomped on it so you can't rebuild the shit. Hey, I got a place. You want to come and stay with me even though I just fucking firebombed your ass?" That is not love. That is an abusive relationship right there. And that's all throughout the Old Testament. It's like a textbook for an abusive relationship. Oh, it hurts God to fuck you up like this. So you best be, happy that God is just gonna forgive you for it. I mean, every single turn, it seems like God is just an abusive fucking boyfriend that has beat you into submission, into thinking that you need him and that you have to exalt him at every single fucking turn.
And when one loves God, one becomes pliable to God's will. One becomes new. One becomes transformed. One begins to place God first in one's life. Or to use Bart's phrase, to love God is to give oneself to God. To love God is to give oneself to God. Let us pray.
No, we're not going to pray. Fuck that shit. Anyways, that's it for this guy tonight. I don't think that you got to give yourself to God in order to love God. I don't think that you should compromise yourself like that. And also, if your God is requiring you to give yourself to him, that sounds more like a cult and more like abusive sort of thought control than anything else. So we got another super chat from Teutonics who says, "Hey man, a couple of us down here in Arab always try to catch your stream. Continue the good work." Oh, fuck yeah. Down in, I don't know if you guys know, but Alabama has an Arab Alabama. And it's pretty, I've been out there a couple times and it's pretty nice place to be. I hope you guys are doing good over in Arab though. But yeah, so don't compromise yourself like this guy wants you to. All right. So we're about to go to the Skeptic Mafia comments, which I'm gonna have to cut some of them off because some of them are extremely long. But if you guys want to be able to comment on the video of this week, then you need to join the Skeptic Mafia and you'll be able to leave your comments. Well, if you join at the Mafioso level, there's also a shield level where you can get awesome emojis in the side chat right there. You get a badge next to your name, stuff like that. So if you want to be a part of that, then smash that join link and you'll be able to become part of it. But if you're going to be leaving out right now, I really appreciate you guys being here, watching tonight. If you will, share this out. Smash the like I already said. I think I already said it. Anyway, the Kraken's getting to me. And I guess I'll see you heathens later. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens. But wait, don't go, because we do have the Skeptic Mafia comments, which we have Josiah Hansen, who says, "Woohoo! Just beat Bowser using Princess Peach." Is that, would that be Mario Kart, or would that be Super Mario Galaxy? No, not Galaxy. The newest Super Mario. I can't remember which one it is.
No, it doesn't matter.
Odyssey. All right. All right, so first up we got Alex Barnowski, who says, "So many subsets within subsets, very hard to follow. The video lacks anything substantive. Deism is not a form of atheism. A God that set the universe into motion is still a God. He needs to stop with the special pleading. He seems to have exposed the atheist inner circle, though doing terror without being terrorized and being corrupt amongst ourselves. At risk of oversimplification, more like risk of overcomplication. Type 1 and 2 don't sound like atheists. Blind random chance is a hyperbolic statement. He doesn't have any good arguments for God. He just wants to read the Bible. The Sabbath is set aside for God alone." Okay, so do you not spend time eating or taking a piss or sleeping on the Sabbath? What's the anger being equated with murder? Lastly, the statement, "When one loves God, one becomes pliable to God's will," sounds kinky. Excuse me. So then we got some shilling right here. If you guys want to become part of the Skeptic Mafia, we do a podcast every Tuesday. That's pretty awesome. Y'all definitely need to check that out. And then she said, "I think G needs to bring shitty ass science back." I love that segment. I will I'll always do that. You can make me say anything like Rick and Morty does a better job of hypothesizing the galaxies beyond ours than either Star Wars or Star Trek. Fine. And then Alex wants to know about any free editing software. I'll have to get back to you on that. If anybody in the comments right now knows, definitely let Alex know. She also says, "Watch your damn hands," and that he dunks his in 2% bleach solution every hour. So sorry about that. All right. Next is Vanta Blue. "I admit I zoned out. I will agree with him that a puppet god is not what their faith is about. Too sad that so many live that way. Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz?" They have no facts on which to base this faith. What's hidden in this argument for God is that if everything is by blind faith, then the statement they are making is also by blind faith. And if there is no meaning in the universe, then what they're saying is meaningless. So why pay attention to them at all? They defeat their argument in their argument. This seems to be the most absurd position of all. Oh, wait, I got the wrong way. I got that the wrong way around when I took that quote from him. Damn. So fun to hear him finish with a prayer where it's made out like every believer will never be wanting for food or shelter, when there are so many living in misery that don't get food or shelter daily and still pray to their God for that. Thank you so much, Vanta, for your comment. Cadence, 1080p, 60 FPS, fucking vertical. You know how ridiculous that looks on an ultra-wide monitor? This can be summed up in one sentence. If you don't believe in my specific God, oh crap, hold on, I think it got cut off. The way I specifically believe in my God, you're atheist and bad. That's what I got from it too. And then we got Sleepy in Seattle. I've really got to start cutting these off. These are getting a little long, guys. So if we could not do that, I'll read the first couple. My apologies. This turned out to be much longer than I intended. This guy came from the School of Public Speaking, where you say a few words, pause, say some more words, pause, ad infinitum. That style of speaking to me. Speaking is nutty. Someone once had me record a public announcement for a sporting event that had using that style. It was played outside of the venue to tell fans which entrances they needed to use. So it was played over and over, and they used it for a number of years, and I cringed every time I heard it. All three of his definitions for an atheist included a deity in some form. A lot of what he said was deity-centric, so that his audience had contextual references always need to use a deity to describe someone who does not believe that a deity exists. Thank you so much for your comment there, Sleepy in Seattle. I need to get to the rest of the comments because it's already kind of late tonight, so I'm sorry about that. Drew's book reviews. Not much to say today. I didn't really watch the video. I will just say I'm proud to be one of those fools who don't believe in God. Anyway, heathens, keep on reading. Thank you, Drew. I appreciate you, man. Big Sky Pioneer 2. My favorite. I love it when people tell me what I believe and what kind of person I am without even knowing me. All because some book written when magic was literally the explanation for everything in the natural world says that those that don't believe in a god are a fool. I am still amazed that a book written thousands of years ago is still considered to be a valid how-to book for people living in the 21st century. One thing I despise about religion is that it encourages sanctimonious smugness on the part of the believer. I agree there, Big Sky. Jonathan, I'm going to read a little bit of yours, but it really is kind of too long for me to do it at this very end. I'm so sorry about that. Huh? Yeah. I hope this isn't as long as last week. Whether the Bible claims it in Psalm 53 or 14 makes no difference. This is just an attempt by the Bible to reverse the definition of a fool. The Quran calls unbelievers fool too, but in this case with regard to Islam. These are attempts by both books to belittle unbelievers. Only a fool should take this claim seriously. Aaron Ra has stated that a fool is one who accepts improbable claims from questionable sources based on insufficient evidence. I would say that Aaron's definition is far more accurate than what is offered in either of those two so-called holy books. Yeah. I was trying to see if there was something that you wanted me to say specifically, but I'll have to reply to yours personally there, Jonathan, because I'm sorry, I just don't have time to read all of that right now. I'm so sorry. Trickster, as usual, this person has no idea what an atheist is. Atheists do not create gods to believe in. In most cases, the gods are taken right from the holy books they profess. What would make an atheist not an atheist? Say it with me, kids. Evidence! Show me some evidence of your God or gods, and if I cannot refute it or falsify it, then I would no longer be an atheist. We don't need to add meaningless labels and definitions to the word atheist. As usual, I am at work right now, but we'll be watching this when I get home in the morning. Hey, maybe someday you can do a matinee. I do that on occasion. Everybody hit that like button and then share this with friends or family. Want to feel real special? Hit that join link and become a Skeptic Mafia member today. You get a cool badge, and that lets you know people know you are part of something special. You get to see that Friday night video and leave a comment that GE will read live on air. You get hangouts and special members only podcasts on Tuesdays. This is still the only place you can play with GE's 15-foot whale penis emoji. Yep, that's true. It's the only place you can do that at. You know, it's going to be good when they quote the Bible. Atheism does not claim there is no God. It is the disbelief in a God. We didn't make up the God. You did. Probability would imply we know there are other outcomes, and we don't. Everything we know is driven by the properties of particles and the effects of space-time. It isn't random, and it is only guided by itself. There is plenty of evidence. There is no universal meaning. No, we make our own meaning. For the Bible tells me so. My book says a thing. I could show you a number of books that say you're a fool if you don't believe in their junk either, and they would disagree with your Bible. Which one is right? I experience nothing compelling to me. Follow the rules in your Bible, except for people. The instincts I have for society are separate from that and do not indicate your God above anything else. You would need to demonstrate your God exists first. Even then, that is not a reason to follow them, not even by force. I think that you, Jucane, were able to really explain the non-randomness of the universe better than I did in the main response to the video. So I really appreciate you pointing that out and formulating it in a good, solid way. Michael W. Roble, he didn't mention people like me who know that a belief in anything supernatural, like a god, is irrational. This is sometimes referred to as atheism. Although my stand applies to everything supernatural, not just theism, theism can also be very dangerous. God will protect me from this virus, cough, cough. Jesus will keep the lightning away if we all stand under this tree here in the middle of the field. Flash, boom! Anyway, all of his points are nothing more than the idiotic blathering of a backwoods preacher who isn't intellectually equipped to discuss atheism, let alone how many shoes there are in a pair. No offense intended, the previous statements are my opinions and do not represent those of any other living beings. One more point, he said Jesus, God, was a wonderful deity-oriented. Was a wonderful family-oriented, 10 commandment-loving, honor your father and mother person. He seems to have forgotten about the command to leave your family to follow me. Jesus gave to his followers. In that number 11, often called the narcissist commandments, thou shalt saith to thine family, fucketh you, for I must kiss the ass of my holy Savior. Quentin Van Boeven, thank you so much for your comment there, Michael. Quentin Van Boeven says, can we turn the camera next time? I sense a straw man coming. Oop, there it is. Honestly, don't have much to say here other than you won't convince an atheist using the Bible. GE, I'm writing this at work, so you can insert 1 shilling here. 1 shilling. We have a Discord that you can definitely jump in on, and it's pretty awesome. We got Chrismer, who did a fail well, apparently. They claim scientism is a religion. Thus, it's automatically bad, yet fail to even consider that they are following a religion themselves, yet somehow their religion isn't automatically bad due to it being a religion. The cognitive dissonance in them is just outstanding. Plus, hint, scientism is not a thing, and science is certainly not a religion. It's based on facts and evidence, something religions don't have. Anyway, ASCII time, this has most certainly earned my fail well, and I wish he'd board the shut the fuck up cargo truck. Shut the fuck up, truck. And if you don't want to be a fail whale deserving of the shut the fuck up, truck, you should join the Skeptic Mafia today. If you do, you can make John say things like Babylon 5 is better than Star Wars and Star Trek. I don't... Huh? Yeah. But if you can't afford the $4.99 a month, at the very least, you can hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe. Just remember to stand up and use your voice before I knock my fucking drink over. Bye, heathens! And then we got Sean J. So he admits prayer is useless. Science based on facts since it began. Religion based on apocryphal stories since that one person anthropomorphized natural events into entities. Stories such as why is there lightning and thunder? Zeus is battling the frost giants and on the approach to Olympus. Towards the end, salvation begins at the cross because God, the all-powerful, all-knowing deity, gave up everything that God was, a total unselfish act. Someone doesn't understand how an almighty, all-knowing God didn't give up everything. If, and that's a big if, Jesus was a real person and died and resurrected for humanity's sins, what exactly did it give up? I know Jesus died and was born again to ascend into heaven and take a vacation from burning people's bushes or something like that. Thank you, Sean, for that. Gary White, okay, let's see. His take on the subject, possibly not a good take on it. I'll listen to the video soon, but possibly good video nonetheless. And then we got Jonathan Hanachek. Damn, I can't help. No! Now, there are more. Oh shit, help me. I'm sorry, I know I'm a dork. Okay, now for some shilling. KC, thank you so much for all your hard work with the podcast. John, thank you for your insight on this crazy book. Now, if you haven't gone to listen to Godless Engineers podcast at Uhan Redrick, they've put it up on many different platforms. You can probably put it up on the chat here if you're here. Go to day number 81. It's the best of GE. Don't take my word for it. Listen to yourself or restart from the beginning. You never know what you might learn the second or third time through. I think this next time I will go through it will be on my 6th or 7th. God damn. Jesus.
We are not that entertaining. I'm definitely not.
Also, remember, Casey's always right. Even if she's wrong, she's always right. And, you know, Star Wars sucks just a little bit less than Star Trek. Fuck! Damn.
He said Star Wars sucks less than Star Trek.
Oh.
That's what that says. Star Wars sucks less.
Yeah.
Is that what that says?
Maybe. Alex in the comments says, Bleach! Alan Rise says, why do you think it is that agnostic Christians like me, who are for separation of church and state, medical education, are outcast among Christians? That's a good question there, Alan. First of all, I want to thank you so much for watching our videos here, because I would hope that most Christians that aren't fundamentalists would at least be a little open-minded to it. But in any case, I think that the fundamentalist Christians and Christians that adhere to a stricter version of Christianity cast out the more progressive Christians, because it gives in a little bit to the societal changes that happen, and it's a reinterpretation from their point of view of what their scriptures say. So obviously to them, you seem like you're creating your own God or creating your own version of Christianity and calling it correct and true. And so obviously they have to stamp out that kind of thinking. And so they label you as an outcast, basically. So I don't know if that really answered your question there. I hope that it did. Normally I read off some questions or whatnot from the chat. I don't really have time tonight. I've got to go because we've been doing this for about an hour and a half now. We got Gary White who says, I got one show that's way better than Star Trek, Star Wars, and do you guys want to know?
Daniel M. He didn't have this comment up there.
Oh, maybe it got caught by spam?
That's what I thought. I don't know. I asked him if I had you can respond to it.
Yeah, I think I'll have to probably respond to it personally because I checked the spam filter, or the spam box or whatnot prior to getting on tonight, and maybe. Oh wait, here it is. I can read it. Oh damn! I can read the first paragraph. Sorry, Daniel. I didn't realize that you left 3 paragraphs. So Daniel M says, I wonder how the fuck deism is atheist. Right off the bat, he got that wrong. His next example is people who make up a god they don't like. Sorry, Christianity has already done that. The reasons I don't believe in a god are my reasons. The puppet god is what a lot of Christians think. For example, Kenneth Copeland blowing away COVID. How awesome would it be if God sucked our dick down? Scientism, duly noted that when I typed scientism, it got a red line under it. I guess that's not a thing. A religion / belief, I would call it knowledge. How is that the most religious people don't understand this? Well, they have to, like, that's part of the, like I said, Daniel, I'll respond to it a little bit further. But basically with the scientism thing, it's the only way that Christians, or at least the fundamentalist Christians, can put atheism or science on the same playing field as atheism, as their religion. And so they give it these religious undertones in order to, in order to put it on that same playing field so that they can equally criticize it and say that, oh, well, you just have a different belief than me. You still have a belief, when that's really not the case. So, oh man, I really appreciate you guys joining me tonight. If you will, smash that like button, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and I guess I will see you heathens later. Monday, I have a special thing for you guys, because Monday we are going to be going through Ray Comfort's documentary, and I'm going to be exposing his dishonest edits and how he didn't let me say things in the documentary that were very important. He always had the last word, which I did not exactly let him have all the time. But also, in contrast to the guy that was on there with me, I think that I pushed back an appropriate amount. But we'll cover that on Monday. I will see you heathens later. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens.